joining us to break it all down, CBS News senior political editor Steve Chaggaris, as well as Democratic strategist and former communications director for Martin O'Malley, Lis Smith. And, well, Steve, let's begin with you. The voting yesterday in both Kentucky and Oregon takes place now against what happened in Nevada over the weekend. It got a little traction, but really it seemed to really pick up steam yesterday when, essentially, Bernie Sanders refused to apologize for what happened and, in fact, said, hey, my people were treated poorly. The DNC and Debbie Wasserman Schultz now weighing in, calling it anything but appropriate, and Hillary Clinton is stuck perilously on the tightrope. What to make now of a Democratic primary that, for all the world, looks like the Republican primary of a month ago?
Well, I was just going to say, let's take stock of where we are right now. 2 weeks ago, we were talking about Republican race. Where's the Republican unity? We're talking about a Republican convention that could have turned into chaos. We were all preparing for an open convention, and maybe Trump, even though he has more delegates, might not get the nomination, and what's going to happen. Now we're talking about almost disunity within the Democratic Party. Where are they going to go? Is there going to be chaos in Philadelphia at the Democratic Convention? And now we have 3 weeks of no primaries and no caucuses, and this is all we're going to be talking about. So how does Hillary Clinton change the storyline, change the narrative from Democratic discord and disunity? That's what's really all we're going to be talking about the next few weeks. Donald Trump's laying low. He's building his organization. He's got the Republican Party slowly coalescing around him. So that story is on the back burner right now. This is now about the Democratic Party and what's going to happen moving forward. And frankly, what is Bernie Sanders going to do in terms of handing off this nomination to Hillary Clinton? Because that's going to happen on June 7th. She's going to be the presumptive nominee. So how does he handle that? How do his supporters handle that? Right now, it's not looking very smooth, and that's what we're going to be talking about the next few weeks.
Well, yeah, I mean, my thought on that is I think she's doing the right thing, and you were talking about the tightrope. It's not her job, really, to weigh in and get involved in this mess. I think a lot of this fight is more between Sanders supporters who are very energetic, very passionate, and the Democratic establishment, namely the DNC. Debbie Wasserman Schultz clearly stacked the deck in this primary. I think she has been a very divisive and problematic DNC chair. And I think that going forward, the party really needs to address how do we make sure that Sanders supporters stay in the fold?
So you agree with Bernie Sanders, saying that essentially this is rigged?
No.
Which are things that we've heard another candidate say.
Do I believe that the Democratic establishment was a little heavy-handed? Democratic establishment being Debbie Wasserman Schultz? Yes. Did she mishandle the primary? Yes. But I think he should have come out stronger against, the death threats and the violence, violent threats toward Roberta
But
Lane.
isn't the Hillary Clinton campaign right now collateral damage here? Because we saw her campaign respond to this mess in Nevada. And it was called on our air earlier today about as soft a response as you could expect, considering she will need Bernie Sanders and his supporters come to
But that's the thing is, I think she has to be very careful in how she addresses this, because his voters, the people he's brought into the process, a lot of them are independents, a lot of them are new voters. They're not dyed-in-the-wool Democrats. They're not guaranteed to turn out for her in November. So I think she's done a really good job of not turning them off. Some of her supporters, not so much.
Right. She has an enthusiasm problem, right?
Yeah.
She's had this problem since even before she announced her candidacy last year. So if she wants the enthusiasm of these Sanders supporters, she's going to treat him differently, I think, than you would think she should treat him. The question is how is Sanders going to deal with this when it's clear that he is lost, right? He's still telling his supporters there's a chance. We ran that clip saying, oh, I can go in with the majority.
Catastrophic occurrence.
Well, right. We know that. But he's telling his supporters, he's trying to keep his supporters enthusiastic. Fine, that's what he wants to do. And legitimately, he's not mathematically eliminated. But at some point, that's going to happen. And it's going to happen soon, probably on June 7th. When that happens, how does he handle this? How does he talk to his supporters and say, it's okay to now back the nominee of this party? Or does he do that? And if he doesn't do that, are we then in for a month and a half of more discord between June 7th, June 14th, and the convention? And how does this all then play out at the convention? Are we going to be talking about Democratic disunity for the next 2 months, while the Republicans, and this is what the Democrats' worst nightmare, they were giddy 3 weeks ago watching the Republicans flailing and trying to figure out what they were going to do. Now it's their problem. They're facing a similar problem. How are they going to handle that? How is Sanders going to handle that transition?
It's not necessarily the worst nightmare, because this is the thing, and you said this before, and I agree with you, is that she has an enthusiasm problem, but he brings all the passion here. She's not bringing out 11,000 people to a rally.
Yeah.
She gets a few hundred people there. And so I think the passion that the Sanders people bring is great. Let's just channel it. And I think
they have to channel it to her. Right?
And I do think that Democrats will be able to work it out somehow.
But we had Bob Schieffer on today, who echoed this idea, that the enthusiasm problem, that there is perhaps no more baked in the cake candidate than Hillary Clinton right now, and that he compared it perhaps to what Jeb Bush saw, albeit months ago, that perhaps there is a fatigue with the last name, or fatigue with what people have a sense of as it regards Hillary Clinton. And Steve, it brings me to this new poll. I know you wanted to discuss it today out in New Hampshire. that you mentioned just a few weeks ago, the initial numbers for a general election matchup, while they very much favored Bernie Sanders over Donald Trump, still favored Hillary Clinton over Donald Trump by a healthy margin, some 13 points. Every new poll we're now seeing, battleground states and now nationally, that number has shrunken considerably.
Yeah, this battlegrounds poll from New Hampshire, which is a much smaller state than some of the other battlegrounds, but it's still a battleground state, shows Trump and Clinton virtually tied, and again echoes the battleground state polls that came out last week in Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Florida, which show that Hillary Clinton's unfavorables in those places are equal or higher to Trump, right? We're talking about unfavorables and Trump's record unfavorables nationally. You look at these battleground states, they're tied. Their unfavorables at 58% in New Hampshire, tied. So that's a problem for her. If the idea is, she's less unfavorable than he is, well, in the battleground states, that's not the case. And the other issue for her is, in all 4 of these states, we saw it in this poll in New Hampshire as well, people trust Trump to handle the economy better than her. If the issue is going to be the economy, she's got to turn that around in these places.
And that's why I would caution, and you see these ads coming out of the super PACs on her behalf, just focusing on dumb comments he made on Howard Stern years ago. And I really don't think that people are going to vote on that.
Well, don't they play right into his wheelhouse?
Yeah.
He's comfortable on that battlefield.
Yeah, and I also think that's kind of baked in the cake with him. It's been so widely reported. I think it's fair game at some point, but she needs to win people over with her own message. I think she needs to win people over on the economy. She needs to get people to up her trustworthy numbers, things like that. And I don't think that all these silly ads replaying his dumb comments about women are the right way to do it.
It would seem, if nothing else, she would be hopeful that she could face a one-front campaign rather than the 2 fronts she currently sees right now. Liz, Steve, terrific stuff. I'm being forced to go.
Hey, thank you.